Hey guys, how you doing? Samuel here. Just wanted to share some prophetic insight, or would say the prophetic insight. What I feel is going on. I thank you for joining in, and I wanna share some stuff, and I want to recap on Pastor Coverstone regarding that. And here's this one lyrics that keeps ringing in my spirit. It says, "I heard the men saying something. The captain tell them they pay you well, and they say need sailing men to show the way. Leave today. Was it that I said how long? They say the sea turned so dark that you know it's time, and you see the sign. They say the point of demons guard is," and then it says, "an ocean grave for all the brave. Was that said how long, how long, how long to the point of no return? Your father says he needs you. Your mother says she loves you. Your brother, they echo the words, how far to the point of no return? Well, how long? Today I found a message floating in the sea from you and me. They wrote, and when they could see, they cried with fear. The point was near, and it was said, how long to the point of no return?" That's been kind of like ringing in my spirit for I don't know, for a while, a couple, I don't know, maybe weeks or something like that. It just keeps ongoing and stuff like that. The actual lyrics, if you don't know what that is, that's from Kansas. It's called "Point of No Return." Is from the album, and you may heard that song "Dust in the Wind." So that's where it's coming from. It's kind of funny that the Lord would actually take a secular thing and minister to you regarding what's going on. So the question is, how long? How long? I've been covering the story about Rapture, several ones coming up with the September one was the latest one on Pastor Jerry Tony, who believes that the rapture will happen in the Feast of Trumpets. So I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, Feast of Trumpets. There you go. But I want to share something again on recap on Pastor Coverstone, because it just seems like I believe I'll give my 2 cents on this, but just check it out.
My kids have been watching the Facebook views of the video that I posted on Wednesday morning, or Tuesday night, or Wednesday, whatever it was I posted. It showed over 100,000 people. And God brought back in that moment what Mike Livengood, the evangelist, had spoken over me back in 1996. December 16th, on a Monday night, I had that first part of the dream. And in that dream, I saw a calendar. And the calendar started in January, it was 2020, and the calendar flipped January, February, got to March, and I saw a finger, kind of like many tickle you farson, the prophecy, the event from Daniel, where a finger just came and just underlined the name March, and then tapped it 3 times. Well, if the symbol for therefore is 3 dots, so it was like one of those emphasizes. March is emphasized. Then I saw April, May, and June. And in June, I saw another emphasis, underline, and tapped it 3 times. And that's when in the dream, and it was a dream, I had it about 2:31 in the morning is when I woke up, so I know it was soon to that. I woke up in the dream. I saw people wearing masks. I saw lines at hospitals. I saw people who were protesting, marching. I saw buildings on fire. I saw looting. I saw people in desperate people. I saw people hiding in their homes. But the protests were really one of the big things that I saw. And I saw people wearing masks, and it wasn't like the medical masks that they wear, but I saw the kind of masks that people are wearing now, for COVID. And I told the men the dream I'd had, what I'd seen. So January came, February came, March hits, and suddenly these things start happening. And I realized that what I was seeing in the news was what I had seen in my dreams. In the first dream, I did have headlines, and I saw pandemic. I saw that word pandemic over and over and over and over and over. I saw things with government. I saw chaos. And suddenly now in March, we have lockdowns happening. We have schools closing. Every day as I watched the news, I began to realize that these are the things that I'm seeing that were going on. And pretty soon, the one gentleman in my church I was talking with would say, "Hey, are you watching this? Are you seeing this? That lines up with what you saw." Last Monday night, I had a dream. And in the dream, I saw the calendar. I saw June, and then it went July, August, September. And when it hit September, I saw the same hand I'd seen in December underline the month of September. And then it flipped October, and then it flipped November. And that's when the dream really took on a whole new schism, so to speak. I saw the index finger underline the word November. It didn't tap it. At that time, I saw a fist ball up, and it hit. It just hit the calendar. It was almost as if the calendar went flying back into the wall. I saw the numbers that had been posted on the little blocks of the calendar. I saw those numbers just fly into the air. And immediately, I saw the same type of scenes that I was seeing from the dream back in December, but it was more intense. I saw Russian and Chinese troops. I saw men wearing blue. It didn't say UN on them, but the blue helmets are typically United Nations type of things. But I saw looting, and I saw burning, and I saw mass absolute chaos. I see people running. I saw and heard in my vision and dream gunfire, constant gunfire. I saw people now hiding in their homes, looking out the windows in a dark room with a gun in their hand and looking back to check on their families and things like that. But I saw people everywhere. I saw capitals surrounded. I saw state houses, state capitals surrounded. I saw people screaming and making demands that were almost just outrageous. In the dream back in December, I had seen vultures over major cities, including especially Washington, D.C. And I saw the Washington Monument. I saw the Lincoln Memorial. I saw the White House. And I saw that all the curtains were pulled in the White House, especially in the Oval Office. And everything in the sky was dark, and it wasn't like a storm. It was almost as if it was nighttime. As I looked at the White House, the windows were shut, saw nobody moving around. Then I had a picture of inside the actual Oval Office. And here's what I saw, because I've had a lot of folks that have, I said when I posted this that I didn't see Trump. And my reference to that wasn't support or lack of support for the president. I was just simply stating the fact that I saw no one in that office. No one was sitting in the seat. There was no cabinet members there. There was no secretary. There was nobody in that room. In other words, what it said to me was, at this moment, we were leaderless. And that's the thing that stood out to me. It wasn't that I saw the flags. In the Oval Office was the Resolute desk, which has some pretty historical significance, the one that Kennedy had sat at. So I'm not even sure if Donald Trump uses that in the office or what desk he has, but I saw that desk and I saw nobody sitting at it. The other thing that flashed through my mind at that moment was I saw a long conference table. And I saw, and I'm going to be very specific about this, I saw senators. I did not see Congress. I did not see anybody in the leadership. I saw members of the Senate. It was just the Senate. I'm not going to say specifically who I saw, but I know that I recognized the faces, would know the names. And I saw them sitting in a room that was very peaceful. There was no rush or no panic. Even though outside in the windows of that room, I could see there were fires burning. There was chaos outside. These men were very, very resolute. They were very, very patient. They were looking at their watches. They were in no hurry. And the other thing that I saw on the table that stands out to me as well was briefcases. Now, in our day and age, briefcases are not even, they're a thing of the past. But I saw piles, stacks and stacks and stacks and piles of briefcases on this long conference table where these men were talking about. I also saw the former senator who was out of the Dakota area, so to speak, and I saw him handing folders. Now, I don't know what was in these file folders. They were sealed with a clasp. He was pushing these file folders to different ones of those senators, and they were folding it up, putting it in those briefcases, and then locking everything. But once again, they weren't in a hurry to get anywhere. After that scene hit, I began to see more chaos in the skies, just terrible things, the signs and wonders in the heavens. I'm a tribulation, rapture believer. That's my theology, not just because it's the Son of God, but I believe that wholeheartedly. Jesus told many stories of one will be taken, one will be left. Paul talks about the meeting in the air, the dead in Christ rising first. So I'm not going to debate that or deal with that, but I do believe that the church is about to face some persecution. The next evening, though, I had another dream. I saw wolves sleeping in a field, and there were hundreds of them. It's just a big open field, close to nighttime. It was dusk, and all these wolves were sleeping. And suddenly, a dark figure, someone encased like in a cape or a cowl, walked in, dressed in black, and had a large whip. And it was bigger than a bullwhip, and it had a large bolt at the end of it. And this figure begins to just whip these wolves. And suddenly these wolves come awake and they're screaming, they're making noise, they're crying out, but they're not attacking the person who is whipping them. And he just kept stirring them up. And this, in the dream, it seemed like it happened forever, but every single one of those wolves had been hit and beaten on by that person. And then suddenly he stops and he points and turns in a circle with his hand out, and he says, "Go into the cities." That's where I knew where those wolves were going, in the sense of the church. And in that moment, the wolves are taken off. They go in all directions. Suddenly, I'm standing in front of a screen. It looks like a screen of TV screens, like a wall, a huge video wall. And in each one of those screens, I see myself preaching to my church. I see friends of mine that I know in ministry. I saw district officials. I saw men, women, black, white, you name it, every color, every race. I've got friends that are missionaries all over the world. I saw some of them, but I saw all of us were preaching a very hard gospel. We were preaching about lifestyles. We were calling things sin, and we were addressing things that need to be dealt with. We were dealing with abortion and alternative lifestyles, and we were hitting it hard. All of us were sweating. We were all wearing kind of like the same type of shirt or blouse, and we were sweating. We were just covered in sweat. And it also appeared to me that there was like steam coming off of our heads, which to me indicated the intensity of the preaching of the gospel that we were doing. So I see lots and lots of people that are preaching the gospel and preaching the message and preaching it hard. But then I'm able to actually see into the crowd, almost as if I'm back in my actual pulpit looking at it. And I see people from the church, and I see some that are sleeping, and I see some that are looking at their watches, and some that are just getting itchy, and they're getting up and they're walking, and some are just, they're itching to get out. They want to go. They're not listening. They're laying their heads back. They're nodding off. They're on their phones. But towards the front of the group of the church, there was a small group of people that I know in my church who are prayer warriors, people who pray, and they were all up at the front. They were listening, and they were wailing like in travailing prayer as I was preaching. The screens that I was seeing, every one of the pastor friends that I had, male and female, as they were preaching the gospel, there were people that were listening to them at the front of their churches too, almost like at the altar. People were sleeping behind. The people up front were listening, but it was always a smaller group. Suddenly, I began to hear the howls. And the people at the front who were praying in every situation turned around and looked at the doors and started scratching and beating on the door. I heard scratching on the door, and suddenly the door kind of opens up and the wolves come in. Now, when they left the field, their eyes were just fully engrossed with a red color, almost like an LED light. Their eyes got red. They got all sorts of, they were angry. They had been worked up into a frenzy. And now they were headed out, into the city and headed to the churches, obviously. When the wolves came in, they weren't yipping or howling, or they didn't even have red eyes. They just kind of came in and walked between the pews, and all of us just kept preaching the word, and our intensity increased. But the thing I noticed was those wolves began to go and sit by the people who were sleeping, by the people who were not listening, who were not paying attention, the ones that were on their phone, the ones who were, asleep. The more intense that we preached and the more intensely the gospel came out, the more things we called sin and the more things that we addressed and basically called out, suddenly these wolves just began to growl, and the back of the fur bristled up on them. People beside them, they would begin to pet these animals, would pet the wolves like they were a pet. And as the wolves would growl, suddenly the people who were petting them, they started getting all irate and upset and began to shout things out like, "Shut up, don't say that, stop preaching, stop saying that, that's not true, that's not right, the Bible doesn't say that, stop, stop, stop." And all the people in all the screens I'm seeing in all these churches are starting to come against the pastor who was preaching. I saw people that I know that were at that altar praying. I know who they were. I saw people that I know who were also in the pews. That doesn't mean they always come to the church. The faces that I saw in this were people that, and my prayers for them has increased like you cannot believe.
That's pretty intense regarding this whole thing here. More than I can chew on that, but this guy, this pastor, just to let you know, you guys probably know already, but you know, not a lot of people have heard from him, about him and everything, but all of a sudden, every prophetic person, everything, he's like kind of like a, you know, it's like he's all over on the web now, and everybody knows who he is, and you know, basically attention's toward him and want to listen to him. You know, I look at this and I know it's been prophesied before that God will raise up unknown people, you know, people behind the scenes kind of thing, not of the scenes anymore, more behind the scenes. And it's a, you know, I believe that God has raised this guy up for people to know what's going on. It's kind of amazing that, like I said, nobody knew who this guy was, and all of a sudden he's there, he's everywhere. Everybody's grab hold of tension on them because they feel something about it. When you hear about it, you can feel there's some truth in it, you know, and reality and everything. So that's my 2 cents on this stuff. But also the key thing is the September thing, because he you know, he talked about the COVID thing. Obviously, it's already here. There's no there's no prophetic word will describe, you know, about it, that it's already here. We know, but September is the key month, because we know as the Lord's been revealing to me about certain things about the as I mentioned about the Feast of Trumpets. Let's see if I can pull that up. September, and so there's something on that, and that kind of caught my eye in that, about that. If it happens, it happens, but there's another person that I mentioned about Jerry, Pastor Jerry, who talked about the you know, the rapture to happen. And my conclusion was that when November comes, obviously it's the election, people were gone, and my conclusion was the rapture. So, but I don't know, I can be wrong or whatever. We'll see what happens, right? The key thing is that we'll see what happens when it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But if it does, it does. And so that's one thing on there. I want to mention also that from all these things happening, and also I mentioned about, you know, Barry guy with the this you know, chart of the thing that's going to happen. He believes that the rapture would happen September, or now around this time anyway. But if you look at the signs, I look at it in a way and see these signs to come up. Sorry. If I can pull this one up for you guys. As we know right now, as you can see, so with this whole COVID thing that's happening, so things are getting tighter. There's more there. This is a recent article that came up. New York City sets up quarantine checkpoints as it toughens the state on travel restrictions. So we're going to see more of that, I believe. In some of the major states, there's going to be some major stuff happening. There's already some places that I already know, that I've heard even today, that they put in some really tough restrictions and mask requirements and so far, all this stuff. So where it comes down to, there were stressing is the vaccine thing that's going to come out and stuff, and that's another story on that. But so checkpoints and stuff are getting stronger on that. Another weird article I want to share you. This one just came up. Oops, I keep popping in there. Maybe God's trying to tell me something on that date. Is this one here, and you may have seen it, maybe not. Let's see. Oh, that's not it. That's the chart, by the way. What am I doing here? Sorry. Okay, there we go. So this is an article from Tech Times. Let me just get rid of this one here. Sorry. Oh, it disappeared. Okay, sorry. There I am. Okay, so Tech Time. This is from Ian Muskin. As you know, obviously you know, he's the guy who made Tesla and everything, and he's with NASA doing some stuff. But he's developed in his other company that he is called Neuralink. And what I read about this was that he developed a thing where you can play music in your brain or something like that. I know Apple is working on a project right now where they have headphones, AirPods they call them, but this will vibrate your skull, your brain, your skull instead of your ear. And this one here, this is a straight article. Elon Musk is going to have a brain chip. A brain chip. Check it out. Is it crazy or what? A brain chip. So you can see it right here. This is August, which is right now. So I'm not making this up. And I just love these little ads that pop up. But I wanted you to see this because he's developing this brain chip that will enable humans to go forth and choose the mood and balance of one's hormone levels. So that means control your emotions, the way you think, and balances that, which is very dangerous, by the way. So control your moods. So basically you can go into a really terrible situation and then change your mood to happy moods. It's kind of like an what we used to take is called an drug that kind of controls your emotion, kind of makes you like Mr. Spock per se, So this one's gonna make you like Mr. Spock for sure. So I bring this up because creating this chip, and we've talked about this, and here's just the brain chip function would move forward in its original motivation, helping people with entire severe spinal cord, attack, stress, anxiety, and all this stuff. So there you have it, the brain chip to control your mind, So this is reality. This is not a fantasy right now. This is like what's happening, And so we need to know about these things that are happening. Let me see if I can control this here. Sorry about that. And then the quarantine stuff that's happening now. So we're having checkpoints. We're getting close to almost some of the controlling thing that's happening. I call it. Soon there'll be the military thing. So you can see with Pastor Coverstone, what he says is just it's not a fantasy. It's real. And so these things are coming. These things are here. These things are close to our doors and stuff. And I don't know if the rapture is going to happen September of this year. If it does, it'd be great. I already know what many of you have shared with what I got from the Lord, being waking up in the middle of the night and hearing that these are the last days. We know that, and all these signs, and Bible talks about it in Revelation about the mark of the beast. So we're close to that. Now we're going into chipping. Now we're coming into the different things like vaccines and whole bunch of stuff. I could just name them, all these things and happening. Weather patterns, obviously, with earthquakes and stuff and volcanoes and big storms, and all this stuff. These are happening. So we'll see what happens. If the rapture happens in September, if not, then November. Best thing to do is pray what to do, and pray that it doesn't happen in November, as what he says. But I don't know. I just keep seeing more things come up, and these things are just more confirmations that are popping up, and it's not good. But what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And that song again, that's been ringing my spirit. How long? How long to this point of no return? How long to the point of no return? So we'll see. We'll see. Well, thanks, guys. Thank you for my rough outline of what's going on. I wanted to share a little bit more of what Pastor Coverstone has brought up on there. So there's more stuff of the dreams that he's having. I shared you with September. So September is a crucial it's a marking spot, and obviously November we know. I don't know if this invasion thing will happen, but right now, as you know, with China and everything, it doesn't look good. So I don't know. Got to pray for the rapture. Pray. Whatever you do, don't take that brain chip. But I'm not going to tell you what to do. You can do what you want, but read Revelations and know the signs. People would say to me and say, you know what? Nobody knows the exact time when Jesus will come. Obviously, that's true, right? Nobody knows the exact dates, when he comes, because when they say the date's going to come, it's not going to happen. But he also says that we will know the seasons. And so these seasons have signs, and they're increasing. Technology is increasing, and more of these things happen. I don't know. To me, my opinion, I just don't see a Star Wars, Star Trek thing, and then Jesus come. I just don't see that. I don't see how that can happen. But I can be wrong. I hope it doesn't happen that way. But when you have that, you have more people actually falling away. I've heard one person wrote, and he said about this revival, because there's the other side of the prophetic where they're talking about, they're saying this great revival is going to happen and all this stuff. People are going to get saved. It's going to be like the glorious days, and it's kind of like a happy ending thing, right, here on earth. But then I hear the other side saying that we're having more of a falling away, and then now some people like Kansas City changed their doctrine and saying that we're going to go through the tribulation. The other part, other side saying that we're going to have the catching away when Jesus come and everything. So just mark these spots. Mark it on your calendar, September, November, and pray and ask God what to do. All right, so that's enough talking. I want to sign off, and I want to thank you for listening, for what I'm saying and everything. And all I can say is, you know what? Be safe, and we just pray that our Lord and Savior will come, help us know what to do regarding this situation that we're in, because it's a crazy time that that we're in. God bless you guys.